I play the piano for a living. And I thought you'd be interested in my story and how I got to where I was today, especially growing up right here in Manhattan Beach. And I'd love to share it with you if I may. And the story begins in a little town called Bakersfield, California, where I was born. That was the year 1953. I was born to parents Bob and Betty, and they were cool. They were kind of that Mad Men generation. They liked their cocktails, and they liked to enjoy life. My father was a university professor. My mom was a school teacher. And we bought a little house in Bakersfield, California. It was a tract home in kind of an up-and-coming neighborhood that now isn't so up-and-coming, but it was affordable. And it had a really big backyard. And the coolest thing is it had a piano in my bedroom. I don't know why it was there, but it was there. And my mom used to come in the bedroom and play. She was a pianist, amateur just for fun, but I used to watch her play and get up and down the keys. I was fascinated. So I thought, well, I want to try that. So I started messing around, and I wrote my first composition when I was 6 years old. It's called the Three-Fingered Waltz because it only takes 3 fingers to play it. And I loved to play the piano. It was like my friend. It was a way I could communicate and express myself. So I had it really cool in Bakersfield until one day my parents announced that we were moving. We were going to move to a little town called Hermosa Beach, California. And I didn't know Hermosa Beach. I didn't know what that was. But the news that really freaked me out the most was that my mom decided, hey, I'm going to sell that old piano and get this. A mandolin. And as you can see, I'd never picked up this instrument. I was so upset that they sold the piano. They didn't consult me or anything. And so we moved to Hermosa Beach, and I complained, where's my backyard? Some of you may live in Hermosa or Manhattan Beach and know that you don't have backyards. And my mom said, this is the classic, well, there's the ocean. There's your backyard. We were right on the Strand. God forbid, I don't know what that house would be worth nowadays, but it was a little rental house. And the interesting thing was the landlord had a house in South Pasadena. So in the summers, he kicked us out. He said, we got to have that house for the summer. So my dad made this kooky arrangement where for 4 years we did this. We moved from Hermosa to South Pasadena, packed up the station wagon, the mattress. And the cool thing was when we got to the house in South Pasadena every summer, they had a piano and a backyard. So it was like, okay, well, things are getting better. That's good. And then finally one day, my parents said, we're going to buy a house. They bought a house on a street called Longfellow Avenue. You know Bocato's Groceries, some of you locals might know that. And in fact, my mother got a job right at that time teaching at a little school called Pacific School in Manhattan Beach. And I have actually met a few people this morning that had my mom as a teacher, and I wasn't going to mention that in this talk, but I thought that's kind of cool. So she got the job there, and the first thing my dad says, I'm going to talk to this friend of mine in the valley. We're going to get you a piano. Oh, thank God. Finally. So we got a piano, and the first thing my mom did was antiqued it white. There it is, right there, and that's our home in Longfellow Avenue. That was me when I was about 14. And I got so into playing the piano, it was like I rediscovered it again. I was so excited. So my mom says, time for you to have piano lessons. So I had a teacher named Mr. Tattersall, and he was a little kooky, to say the least. The first song he assigned me to play was a piece called Sylvester Goes Skiing. And I'll tell you, I don't know, a lot of you are from Manhattan and Hermosa, but back in the 60s, it was not cool to play Sylvester Goes Skiing on the piano. Both my brothers were already into surfing and girls and being cool, and their friends would come over and tease me relentlessly. I mean, I got bullied at one point, too, just for being, it was kind of a sissy thing to do, play the piano and Sylvester Goes Skiing. But I love this instrument so much that I just hung in there with it. And finally, Mr. Tattersall felt I was ready to learn about stride piano. which is when you play the left hand down here and then you hit the chord, and then the right hand plays the melody within the chord. So something like this. So boy, I was really, really excited. Okay, so now I'm playing some jazz. My mom said, it's time for you to have a classical piano teacher. So I met a teacher named Mrs. Wright, and she used to live on LOS Day in Hermosa Beach. And the first song she assigned me was a piece by Bach called the Two-Part Invention in C. And then came my recital. So I really practiced pretty hard, not being a classical pianist, but I wanted to give it a shot. And here's what happened. So I thought, what do I do now? I'm panicked, and everyone's staring at me. Okay, I'm going to play one of my own compositions. And wow, that's kind of what happened. The audience gave me actually a standing ovation, and it was like, maybe this piano thing is going to work out after all. So I went to a school called Miracosta High School, Manhattan Beach. Yeah. But you know, I didn't do that well. My grades were so bad that I buried my report card in the sand so my parents wouldn't see it. And there was this cool jazz group called the Coincidental Jazz Band, and they had won the Hollywood Bowl Battle of the Bands contest. I believe that was 1967. And they didn't have a piano player, so I thought, I'm their guy, you know, and I'm all thinking I'm cool. And I talked to the drummer, and the drummer said, well, you know, man, you don't really play enough flatted fifths and sharp 11s. Maybe I didn't sound enough like Thelonious Monk. I was more into Henry Mancini. So I formed my own band, and we played in the Pit for production of Tom Jones in 1971. And at that time, they couldn't get the rights to the music, so I wrote my own music. So I wrote the score and played in the Pit band. So my last year in high school at Miracosta was actually pretty cool. And then I went to El Camino College right here in Torrance for 1 semester. And my dad was so upset. He said, son, you should be going to the university to get a real job. Music's just a way to, support yourself through school till you get a respectable profession. But I didn't see it that way. I had already been through so many tough times that I thought, man, at this point, I'm just going to go for it. I'm not going to work with a net. I'm going to make a living playing the piano. So at about that time, there was a show. It had already been on for a few years. It was called A Charlie Brown Christmas. Do you remember that? And I had already kind of related to Charlie Brown because he was depressed a lot of the time, kind of a loser. Yep, that was me. And I saw this show, and I got fascinated by the music. It was jazz. It was jazz piano. And it kind of went like this. It was by a gentleman named Vince Guaraldi. And that's when I decided, that's it. I'm going to be a jazz pianist. And I used to play by ear and try to figure out what he did. And I eventually, after El Camino, just moved to Hollywood when I was 19, decided I'm going to go for it, and met a lot of people. I have since been on a lot of tours, made a lot of record albums. Very proud of that fact. But there is nothing I'm more proud of than a call I got from a gentleman named Lee Mendelson. And Lee was the producer of that original Charlie Brown Christmas. And he asked me, would you score the music for their Charlie Brown special. It was This Is America, Charlie Brown. This was in 1989. And I couldn't believe it. After all those years of relating to Charlie Brown and loving that music, here I was getting the call from Lee Mendelson. So I since have recorded over 15 CBS specials of the week with Charlie Brown. I'm about to do a tour in about a month doing the music of Charlie Brown all across the country, several cities. So it's kind of like, thank you. It's like my life had become full circle. And one of the speakers earlier, you were talking about creativity, and I loved your speech, by the way, and I thought it was so cool that if you've got an idea or you're creative, don't let anything get in your way. Don't listen to the peanut gallery, so to speak. Follow that dream. And a lot of us, when we're growing up, we get teased or we're made fun of, we were bullied, but we had an idea, and I'm living proof of that. I hung in there, and I'm so proud to have this career. And so I just say, don't ever give up. And that's my story. Thank you. Thank you.